All right, so I want to get started. So thanks for everybody being here today. It's greatly appreciated. You know, I feel like it's family hour. I've got folks from many different. Gabby, what cohort were you in? 7, 6? What cohort were you in? Do you remember? 6, 7?
Wasn't it 3? I think it was 3.
It seems like yesterday. It seems like we
Yeah,
have
but it
family.
was 2021 it was. So I think it
Anyhow,
was 3.
we have some of the startups from all over the world here, and I'm really proud of them. They're from Finland. There's from Switzerland, Austria. We're from Michael's in the UK. Dave's in San Diego. You know, it's great to see you all here. And the one thing about you all is that you have incredible startups. And it's always nice to have somebody that's its town as Donna. And she's got, by the way, she's got an incredible background. I got a question for you, Donna. Were you born in Israel? Or did you just go to Hebrew University because you wanted to go?
My family moved there when I was 11, so I've kind of been back and forth my whole life there. I was born in the States, so.
I see. All right, because we have Israeli companies too. By the way, we do a lot of work with the Israeli government. So
Yeah, I saw you were there not too long ago.
yeah,
Yep.
we do a lot with them. And so anyhow, Donna's a corporate storyteller and pitch alchemist for startups and a best-selling author. And oh, by the way, I have her book right here. So if you get a chance, you want to check it out. So Donna Griffit, can you see it? I got my virtual background.
I'll put a link in the chat to the
Sticking
book.
to my story. So
Yeah.
I've known Donna now for a couple of years. You know, her line is, give me your numbers, your facts, your figures, your bits and bytes, and I'll put them through my magic filter and spin them into a golden story. You know, she's got a background, it's a very unique background. She studied group psychotherapy. She studied drama at New York University, got her master's degree, I believe, in drama at NYU.
Therapy, yes.
And she's got over 18 years. She spent 18 years basically roaming the globe, working with over 1,000 startups, Fortune 500 companies, and venture capitalists in a variety of industries. She's consulted and trained clients in over 30 countries, helping them create, edit, and deliver verbal and written presentation, pitches, and messages that sing. Through her guidance, they've raised $1 billion. So I wanted to bring her on because, you know, we talk about the enchantment of doing a pitch and the excitement that you need to create. And I've talked to each one of you about it directly. Most recently, Dave, we've talked about it, and Sanjay, Arto, but I wanted her to go down through and tell you her side of the story. She's one of the best, if not the best in the world. So with that, Donna, it's great to have you here today.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much, Gary. And it's been a joy over the years working with you all and helping your incredible companies. So I'm excited.
That's great. So Donna, you know, so we're going, do you want to do, are you going to do a PowerPoint presentation?
I am going to do the top sticks, I call it, of the book, the sticking to my story. But if there's, you know, I'm happy to answer any questions you have first.
Yeah, so let's go down through, and I want our startups to go down through and be involved in it. But I'll start out with the first question. What's the most important thing when you're developing a pitch and you're presenting? So one is developing the pitch, door number one. Door number two is in terms of presenting that pitch. What are in each one of those areas, what's most important?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So I'll take that since we're talking mainly with startups. Then I'll talk more about the investor pitch, which is really, I think, what we all are probably on for. So the most important thing to me is having a clear story and having a powerful story. And that's really what the book is about. But that doesn't just mean telling random anecdotes. That doesn't just mean telling jokes. It means finding several things. One, there's a very clear, coherent structure to a story, which we'll go in a minute, and I'll be happy to show you guys because I chose some of the highlights of the book to show you. So it's building the way that people's brains are used to taking in information and managing it. And two, it's finding your core story, your your origin story, why you started this journey, what it is that you're bringing to the world. And yeah, so these are really the things that we want to be able to show and showcase, because those are the moments that stick. So I was working yesterday with a client of mine, and their story is told in the book. They're called Cura Life, and they've grown incredibly. They help people manage diabetes, and they actually take down blood sugar levels. It's really incredible. It's a supplement, and they also have a whole community with it. And I've worked with them on several rounds, and now he wanted me to work with his VP of sales to just kind of polish they're selling to places like Whole Foods and Amazon. And so I got the deck, and it was all this information, and I'm like, but you have such an incredible story. And they're like, yeah, but we only have like a very limited amount of time when we talk to these places. And I said, okay, be that as it may, you still have, you really want to be able to say these things in a powerful way. So yeah, I mean, that's what's going to stick with them afterwards. And so their powerful story is, and I learned a new thing about them, the founder, his father was diagnosed with diabetes in his 50s and went from being this vital and energetic guy to kind of withering away. And he set out on a quest to really help save his father's life, basically. And he found this blend and mix between Ayurvedic medicine and other things, and it really works. Now, his VP sales and his director of sales for the US also both have fathers that are diabetic. And that's one of the reasons that compelled them to join this company. And I'm like, I mean, goodness, this is incredible. And this is what's going to stick. So by the end of the session, we had put their stories in. We had minimized all of this data about what the label has and all this, which is really, they can look at the collateral afterwards. But what's going to stick with them is the way they felt. Here's this company that's on this quest that has a personal conviction and connection. And that's what really matters.
Now that's great. So the origin story. So can you give them an example what the origin story would be? I know you just talked about the diabetes, but so it's just a personal, relatable story that talks about their own journey, right? And it's
well, it's either their own journey. Not everybody has, thankfully, an ill parent or a relative, but it could be somewhere, your last place of work, where you realized there was a problem and you set off to create a solution for it. So yesterday, I was working with a cyber company yesterday, and they for years consulted on, how to manage the whole backlog of vulnerabilities. And all they could see was growing lists of vulnerabilities, teams less able to manage it, and no tool there to mitigate and to show, like, prioritize what needed to be done, kind of being able to wipe things out with one fell blow. So they developed the technology. So it came from their place of knowledge. So the story that you tell that credentials you, that shows your experience, that shows what you can do, is also a very important one.
no, that's great. All right. Any questions from the group about what we've heard so far? Anything?
Please feel free to ask questions as we go. And I'm going to go ahead
They
and
want the link, the link and the name of the book. So the name of the book is called Sticking to My Story, The Alchemy of Storytelling for Startup.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's a few different pieces of it. And that's so funny. I'm just reading Sanjay. He's our Slate's pitch run day is an always available generative AI like ChatGPT that asks and answers questions 20% to accelerate scheduling appointments and interviews over our messages. Okay, so you can call me Donna GPT. That's my new pitch. I've been telling everyone ever since. And actually, you're going to like it, Sanjay, because the last chapter of the book, as I was writing the book, Jasper AI was out, and ChatGPT released their first thing just as I had handed in my last draft. So I rewrote it with ChatGPT, because for years I've been ingesting copious amounts of data and then spitting out like these snazzy messages in real time. That's what I do. So the run day is always available, generative AI. Okay, so there's a lot of buzz happening there. What is it you're really doing?
So we thought about this process. I was reading the Daniel Pink book on sales, and it sort of talks about the elevator pitch and its origins and kind of what's alternative. And it talked about, what's, if you could pick one word, what would it be? And so we thought through this with the team and came up with, there's all these companies doing this and that and AI. And, we want this reference to ChatGPT because we're using the same Da Vinci engine. But really our word
I'm
is
not, I'm
available.
reading this and I'm trying to sift through what it is that you're doing. And if I were to see this, okay, it's some kind of scheduling, but again, obviously, if you were speaking to an investor, you were speaking to a client, you would do it differently. But
Yeah.
I don't like in the elevator pitch leaning on somebody else's success. Like if I were to ask you, okay, so tell me in the simple solution statement, and we'll get to that. So we do X for Y by Z. What are you doing?
So for small businesses that don't have staff just available to pick up the phone, we provide an AI that can schedule appointments for sales, service, as well as hiring.
And how is this different from, there's a lot of services that say that they do this. What's truly unique about it?
Ours can both ask questions for form purposes, but it can also answer questions about the business, the products and services, policies, etc. So if someone wants to know about, hey, what kind of couples massages you guys offer, etc., it can actually read the promotional materials and answer and summarize that at 2 a.m.
It's having a human-like,
Yeah.
24/7 available.
Does that
customer
sound
care.
familiar, Sanjay?
Yeah, it does.
This, Donna, we had this conversation. We talked about a human-like.
It's like having a human-like rep that doesn't need a break, doesn't need to sleep, and is there not just to schedule appointments. It's there to truly make people
To
feel
be
welcome.
available.
Well, not just to be available, to answer questions, to be there for them, to like you said, to take in all the information and be able to answer intelligently, just like you were having a conversation with a human. Because when people want to engage with a business, they want to feel welcome. They want to feel that there's someone there. Hi, welcome. How can I help you today? What do you need to know? Great. So it's not just like these little automated responses that pop up. There's really someone there meeting them at the threshold, heralding them into the business. So it's your personal concierge, your personal host for your business. It's there 24/7 to answer questions, book appointments, and capture leads in the most powerful way possible. So just take it down, Bill. I understand the will to put in like all the latest buzzwords and everything. And yeah, it does resonate, but soon everybody, if they're not already, is going to be saying, oh, it's like ChatGPT and it's like this generative AI. The buzzwords are going to kill it. You have to show what it truly is doing. And then later you can say, we utilize the power of generative AI by doing this, but you have to show why you're different, because otherwise it'll be like, so why do I need that? I'm going to have a plugin from ChatGPT. Why do I need Render?
To push the buzzwords down more, really solve the problem.
Don't let that be the thing that leads you in. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, Donna, just one other question from Kevin. In these times, it's hard for VCs to invest in moonshots and they want traction. So is the origin story more difficult?
Okay, that is the perfect lead-in to actually start sharing my slides. So I'm going to go ahead and talk just about that. Thanks for that, Kevin. We did not plan that. So I kind of picked out, I know I don't have a lot of time today, the top stickies from Sticking to Story, like little sticky notes. So exactly what Kevin just said, right now, your message counts more than ever. On the back of my book, there's a quote from a VC that I've worked with for many years. And she said that 2023, as opposed to years before, is going to be a lot about how you tell your story and how you stand out. So it's not just being visionary. Obviously, you have to have the things that really show the traction, but you do want to paint a big visionary picture, not just where you're at right now. And you want to tell it in a bold and fabulous way. So I was talking before about the structure of a story, and there's a very intentional structure of your pitch deck, and I lay it out very clearly in the book. Y'all will be able to get it, and it's still on its promotional price. It's 50% off of what it'll be in a couple weeks. So we this is what I talk about theater. So it's the 4 acts of your play, if you will. And it's very much like a Greek tragedy or a Shakespeare or a Chekhov. So we start off with the need. And that's where you can tell the story about it. Now, yeah, in a minute, we'll talk about the vision that comes a little bit before it. So your origin story, the story of a client, the story of the world at large, something that paints this picture of Houston, we've got a big problem. Then your proposed solution, your simple solution statement, just like we were trying to craft a minute ago. And then you want to show your product and everything, the business data to back it up, your traction and all of that. And then the bigger vision for the future and what you need to get there. And the key investment merits is sort of my summary of it. I'm going to dive into these just a little bit. And as we go, you feel free to ask questions. I'm going to check in with the chat every couple slides. So first of all, this is a main sticky note I want you to have. There are 3 things that investors are continuously listening for. And we want this to constantly be shining through. Credibility, likability, and momentum. Okay, how well do you know your stuff? How far along are you? Where's the traction? Just exactly what Kevin was just asking. And it's not likability like, oh, you're so cute, you're so sweet. It's more likability in the terms of, wow, I can really work with this person. They listen, they're open to feedback, they're flexible mindset, they're coachable. I have more to bring to the table than just a check. So I want you to continuously make sure that your slides align with at least one of these showcased in each slide. And then we start diving into the story. Now, if you have stellar stats, your growth is off the charts, you've got great ARR, you've raised a lot of funding, and this is an absolute must for a post A, like A and above deck. You need what I call the brag slide. Okay. It's like the big points, and I show a few examples of it in the book of really good ones that my clients have used. So you don't want to wait till slide 17 to start showing them that you have these great things, just 6 big numbers. It can be sales, growth, engagement, partnerships, IP, an amazing testimonial for someone. And you want to shout this from the rooftops. You want to grab their attention before you even start talking about what it is that you do. So yes, that can also address what Kevin said. So this is a moment before the origin story, even if you have these numbers. Then another thing I want you to do, and we'll think of this as the overture of the play before the play even starts, is your vision statement. Simon Sinek says that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that's your bigger vision. Yes, they do want to know the traction, but they also still need to know that this is going even bigger. So in your pitch, you're going to have 3 layers of messaging: your why, your what, and your how. So we start off with the big vision, and then we're going to end off with the big vision. We're going to close the loop really nicely at the end with the vision for the future. What is it that you're doing once we get to the solution part? And then how do you do it? That'll be your demo. Even if you only have time for a 5-minute pitch, these 3 things need to be addressed. Okay. Then we start launching into the play. So act 1 is the problem. And there are 2 ways that you can really approach it. One is either you want them cringing, you want them to really feel the pain by telling them a painful story or all the bad things that could potentially happen, but really encasing it in a tangible, actual story. Or, hallelujah, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. They're solving something that I didn't even realize I needed until this very moment. So it's that kind of like wow excitement moment of all the good things that could come in. So we've got the carrot or the stick, and you can choose which is best and turn it into a story. Now, Mark Twain said, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. I'm not suggesting that you lie, but you can take that origin story, you can slightly change the dates, the timing of it. You don't need to give us all the details. So the stories that I tell of the origin stories and the founder stories in the book, there's 3 big ones that I tell. I've been retelling these stories for years. I'm sure that I've changed the facts, but it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, what matters is, does it resonate with them? Do they get it? And stories resonate. They do. our brains are hardwired for stories, okay? From the time that we are kids, this is my oldest when she was 2, she's now almost 10. She would gather piles of books and spread them around her and read. Now she devours a book a day, and so does her little sister. They read constantly. But our love affair with stories starts from way before we can even talk. We're learning the world through stories that our parents tell us, and the books that we read. And we can listen to these things again and again and again, because this is forming the basis of our relationship with people and how we take in information in the world. It's setting the stage. It's building our hardware stack inside our little brains. Now, stories and metaphors connects people and they resonate with people. So you hear a story about, the cure life, or you hear a story that I tell about Eat With and how they came up with the idea for Eat With on their honeymoon, because all they were looking for, they were in Greece, is something that wasn't just souvlaki. They wanted to eat like a local, and they ended up getting invited to a local family's dinner table. Because they were searching for a local experience, and it was such a beautiful experience that took, gave birth to a startup that was eventually acquired. Stories actually sync us together. There are studies that have been shown that when somebody is telling a story and somebody is listening, it's so powerful that our brain waves are actually aligned. So when you say that you're, on the same wavelength, that's not just lip service. And when you're that aligned with someone and that entrenched in listening to them, then you have the power to influence them, whether it's sales, whether it's investment. And those are the things that I promise you will stick with them. They're not going to remember your CAC and your ARR. They are going to remember the ways that you told the story. That's what, when they tell their partners, oh my gosh, I saw this super cool company today, what they're going to remember is your story. I promise. So that was Act 1. So that was, the problem or the opportunity. Questions about this and setting it into a story? Okay, so Act 2, then, ta-da, the hero emerges. And that's where I was just trying with Sanjay to create the simple solution statement. We do X for Y by Z, or Z, depending where you are in the world. Simple, so that anyone could understand it, whether it's your grandmother or your grandfather or your parents or your 8-year-old niece or nephew. You want everyone to get it. So putting all the buzzwords in the ChatGPT and generative AI may not be the best place to do your simple solution statement or your elevator pitch. You can talk about that later on, but it's more about what it means, the meaning. Now, if you already have people that are using your solution and loving it, use that, get their testimonials, bring their stories in, showcase your solution through a demo using their story. It's extremely powerful because it's all about showing your attraction once again. So let me see, what did you say? Kevin says Act 1 is to intrigue, Act 2 is to validate. That's a good analysis of it. I like it. I'll take that. So we go through our solution, we go through our demo, we go through some testimonials to back it up, and we talk about our traction too, right? We have to be able to show how far along have we gotten. Now, if you didn't do the brag slide, you want to do here just, where you're at in your process. Then in the business, in Act 3, in the business section, there's going to be 3 main things I want you to focus on. Differentiation is one of them. What really sets you apart? And I want you to do this without dissing any of your competition. So maybe Kevin, Act 3 is to actually, you know what? Act 2, I don't think is to validate. I think Act 2 is to showcase your solution, and then Act 3 is to validate. So these are the real numbers. So differentiation, what sets you apart? Monetization, how are you making money? How will you be making money? And the third one is opportunization. How big can this opportunity really be? And this is where you want to turn up the heat on the FOMO. No investor wants to feel like they missed out on some great opportunity. So and when Airbnb IPO'd, Brian Chesky resurfaced a blog he had written several years ago, simply titled 7 Rejection Emails. And that's exactly what it is. 7 rejection emails. He redacts the names of the investors, but the reasons were basically like they were raising like their Series A or their seed round, and it was a ridiculous amount for a ridiculous valuation. And the answers were like, oh yeah, we don't really see travel as a industry we'd invest in, or yeah, we don't, this is cute, but we don't, yeah. And he basically, his message to founders is, keep on, if you believe this, you create this, you don't be discouraged by these things. So you want to show them how you are really a timely solution now. You're needed. There's trends that are pointing towards the fact that you're needed. Gartner's saying it. There's heat in the industry. They're investing in competitors of yours. There's a call in the market for it. Something that proves that you are needed. Did somebody want to say something? Okay, so the why us, why now comes in really strong. Then, of course, you want to talk about your team. Why are they the ones? Now, there's always a discussion around, should your team go at the beginning? Should it go at the end? I say either beginning or towards the end, before the ask. The reason to put it at the beginning is if you have real credibility with your team. Again, we want to go back to that credibility, likability, momentum piece. So if you have serial entrepreneurs, you have industry experts, you have former C-levels, you have people that are really going to lend to that credibility, start off with it. If they're just a really great team that have come together to be scrappy and bold founders, you can talk about that a little bit later. This is a good model for a team slide. You want to say something meaningful about what they have done. Not everybody needs the BSMA, but this is something like with computer science, machine learning. In that case, they want to know that there's an expertise there. So you can put the logos of places they've worked or been affiliated with, their link to their LinkedIn, but don't put a resume, but don't just put their name and title. And then finally, we get to Act 4, which is coming full circle with Simonson XY. So you stated at the beginning your vision statement, and now that they know what you do, you're showing them, okay, and this is how big this can go. Right now we have A, but we are going to be able to expand to new markets, to new products, be the interest. I just finished a session right before you guys. This is the second round I'm working on their deck with. They're in construction tech. And basically, they are laying the infrastructure for an error-free construction and field work. Errors are costing $800 billion a year. They are going to make sure that there's no error before the concrete is poured.
I did with you. I just want to get some screenshots from this one.
Whoever's talking, if you wouldn't mind muting. Perfect.
And
And so these are all things that maybe Gary, you can mute whoever's got there.
Let me just jump on, hold on.
sorry.
Guys, please mute.
I think the host can mute everyone all at once, and then I'll just unmute if you mute me. There we go. I think it unmuted. Now I can unmute. Okay, so then we want to come back to that. How far? So basically, with them, their vision statement was laying the infrastructure for an error-free construction industry. And at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're helping companies be more profitable, so that the cost of construction can drop. And then guess what else drops? The price of homes and of buildings. So the end user benefits, there's a huge demand for that. So all of these costs that they have to bake in at the end are driving up the cost of that. So that's a much bigger vision. Again, don't be afraid to draw that visionary picture. And then obviously your ask slide. And I do believe in ask slides. It's very important to have it. Some people are like, why should I'll ask for a range? Know what you're asking for. Put your allocations of what you're going to be using the funds. You don't have to put in the paper clips in your office, just basically the big things. And then your round objective. This will take us to 18, 24 months and KPIs. What will your ARR be? What will your, how many customers will you have? Where will you have launched? Just let them know what their money will actually bring you to. So just to reiterate here, this is the structure. I just gave you a very little taste of what goes on in each of these. A couple little more notes, your slides have to look stellar, okay? Especially if you are in something that's visual. There's no excuse anymore because we've got AI, right? So use some kind of AI or Canva to make your slides look really great because it matters. You're raising several $1 million to create a several $1 billion company. You can spend some money on your slides looking great. It doesn't have to take a lot of effort or funds for it. Please do not data dump. Do not make people want to commit suicide by shoving everything on the slide. This whole misnomer of if you can't explain your company in 10 slides has led to this kind of crowded eye chart looking slides that just make people completely disconnect. And the problem with that is when you've got a lot of text up on your slide, you're competing with your own words. They're trying to listen to you and they're trying to read. And guess what? Same area of the brain. They cannot listen to you and read at the same time. And guess what they're going to do? The reading will override it. So why are you even there? Don't compete with your own words. Have a send out deck. Have something that they can look over later with more text on it. Know their questions and answer them in advance. Ooh, how do we do that? Basically, our entire structure that I've just given you is built around 3 things: their minds, their hearts, and their guts. Connecting to all of them. The mind is the question. So investors have questions that they want answered. And we're basically building the entire framework of your deck around their questions. And in the book, I have a whole chapter on the top questions that investors ask you, where you can actually go in, pull out the questions you've been asked, you think you might be asked, and prepare yourself just like you would for a pitch. You want to prepare yourself for the Q&A as well, even more so, because they're going to ask you challenging questions on purpose, and you want to show that you're ready. And another thing you want to do is you want to answer the questions before they even ask. Because then it's like, oh, he read my mind. She read my mind. This is so cool. And that ups the trust level continuously. And finally, little note on fear. Anybody here get nervous before a big presentation? If you aren't all raising your hands, you're either A, not hearing me, B, lying to yourself, or C, you haven't actually done a big pitch because it's scary. So I ask people around the world, like, where do they feel the fear, the nerves in their body? And it's usually, butterflies in my stomach, heart beating fast, shortness of breath, dry mouth. I call this the pipe of terror. Everything you feel there. Now, put that aside for a second and think of the last time you were excited by something, a big event, a big trip, my workshop today, right? Whatever. But where in your body did you feel the excitement? Butterflies in my stomach, heart beating fast, shortness of breath. Oh my gosh, same thing, same exact thing. Fear and excitement have absolutely no difference except the branding that we give it. It's the difference between, okay, what's going on here? I'm feeling butterflies in my stomach. Oh, I'm about to give a presentation in front of a whole group of VCs. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And guess what? Those butterflies, they're sneaky little creatures. They will turn black and grow little fangs and start flying up here. And they're like, I have no oxygen. I can't remember what I was about to say. This is not good. As opposed to, okay, what's going on? I'm feeling butterflies in my stomach. Oh, I'm about to present to a group of VCs. Woo-hoo! This is exciting. Oh, and those butterflies, they love a good party. They will throw on their Burning Man clothes and pop a few shots of tequila and put on some Tiesto and party, and they will fly and take you with them because that is exactly the passion and the energy that they want to see in you. They are investing in you as much as they're investing in your product. They want to see excitement. And then when you think of it in that way, I'm not nervous, I'm excited, fear becomes face everything and recover. I'm doing this for a very long time. I've yet to see anyone die of fright. There's always a first time, but I don't think it will be with this group. And that you also, you want you to think of the last time you gave a pitch or a presentation that went super well. And it was really great. And they were clapping and cheering and everyone, and you just felt on top of the world. Capture that feeling, bottle it up, take a nice big swig of it, and walk in the room at your best. They don't know that you got 2 hours of sleep because you had a bug in your system and you were waiting to re-release it. I happen to live and be married to a startup, and that was exactly the story that happened last night. So while I was sleeping, he was debugging. They don't know that you were stuck in traffic. They don't know that you just had a big fight with one of your partners. All they know is that the person walking in the room, even in the Zoom, is you. And I'll tell you a little secret. They really want to like you. They want to like you. They want to like your product. They want to like your team. They want to like the whole package. They want this more than you want it. Walk in at your absolute best, because there is no second chance for a first impression. You got to bring your A game. How many of you have ever interviewed people for a position? Yeah. Would it be safe to say that in the first 30 seconds, you kind of knew if this person had a snowball's chance to move on? The rest of it was just going through the motions. And usually we're right. That first instinct is exactly right. So it's not, you don't have the luxury of, 5-10 minutes into it, I'll ease into it. No, walk in at your best. And I will just end this little segment with a quote. Stuart Butterfield, in an interview with Reid Hoffman, said that if there's one piece of advice he could go back and give to his younger self, it would be focus on the storytelling part, convincing people. Because if you can't do that, it doesn't matter how good your product is. And believe me, they're not going to remember the specs and the stats and the features. They're going to remember the stories behind it. So make your stories stick. This is how to keep in touch with me. Somebody wrote before that they want to meet me separately. Please feel free to reach out. This is the book on Amazon. The QR code leads to my site right now, I believe, and I have to change that now that the book is launched. Thank you all very much. And now we will take questions.
Yeah, thanks, Donna. Questions? Niv,
Hi, Neve.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
Hi, Donna, how are you? בסדר
Good.
גמור, מה שלומך?
Great,
How are
thanks.
you?
I'm great.
First of all, it's very inspiring, and I really would like to hear you. And I was also in your virtual launch yesterday or 2 days ago. I
Oh,
don't
you were
remember.
there. Oh, thank you for being there. Thank you.
Really impressive. I already purchased the book, waiting for that
Thank
to arrive.
you.
So very thrilled. Further, I will remind you, because I'm the CEO of Enerix AI, and we are actually Google Nest for commercial buildings. And that really, this is your idea, this is your insight when we talked about I think that was for 15 minutes, and that was your suggestion how to present.
Oh, good. I mean, and I don't always love using an elevator pitch with like, we are the Uber for X. But in this case, the minute you said the nest for commercial buildings, my mind goes to my nest outside my room, and so you're helping control the whole thing. Smart. That's great. That works.
Exactly. So first of all, I use that, and especially if it's for people from the US, they're very familiar with the Google Nest.
I don't even think you can say Google Nest. Just say Nest.
All right.
Nobody calls it Google Nest anymore. Even just what's the nest, and I don't think they think it's a bird nest unless there's a country that they don't have nest in. So
Yeah, definitely. So I've been changing the pitch practically every day, and I'm trying to use, the templates and the platforms, and every time I'm changing and I see the react, and I'm doing iteration every time, and to see how I can improve the pitch and the message. And I'm struggling all the time between, the templates or how it should look, then from my own feeling on how it should look if I were the one who is listening to the pitch. And sometimes the way I think it should be, and this is it goes along with what you said before, I think sometimes you need to put everything on the front, and it shouldn't be on the structure of,
it's
saying
not
the problem.
about you, Eve. It's not about you. It's about them. You're not the one listening. You know all this stuff. So it's about taking a 180 degrees and looking at it through their eyes. Okay, someone who's seeing it for the first time, whether it's a customer or an investor. That's exactly one of the biggest mistakes people make, is thinking about it through ours, just like with Cure Life yesterday. But we only have a limited amount of time. We need to talk about the product as much as possible. No, you don't. They see supplements up the wazoo from morning to night. They don't care if you've got turmeric and cinnamon and anise seed. No, but they do care about the fact that he found a cure for his father. Well, not a cure, we can't say cure, but something that brought his blood sugar back to normal levels in a matter of a week. And that set him on a quest that's now a huge and growing company. Those are the moments that matter. So you don't want to skip that. And another thing, you're going to get a lot of notes from a lot of people. If you go and try to change your deck every single time, you're going to end up with a bloated deck, a patchwork pitch, I call it. You don't want to do that. You need to stick. This is why I call it sticking to my story. It's sticking to the structure. You can add some slides into backup. If you've evolved, you want to change it. But there's something very primal about this structure that I just laid out that really, truly works. Okay, you might find different ways to give your solution statement. You might find new ways to tell the story, which is great. You want to innovate on your pitch. You want to see what works. As you get more comfortable with it, you can play with it more. Don't go changing it every time, and it's definitely not about you.
Thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks for bringing that up. That is really important. Other questions? Anyone?
Yeah, hi Donna, this is Jerry.
Jerry. Okay. Hi. How are you?
So I'm with Fijo and we are humanizing rideshare. So
Right.
our business is
Now that's an intriguing way of saying it. What is that? When you all hear that, what do you think? Oh, wow, humanizing. So what, my Uber driver isn't human? Is that a human person? It makes you ask questions. So I like it.
Mhm, right.
Okay, go on, tell me a little more.
So our main business is to give the driver 100% of the fare. And
Humanizing in that way. I see. Okay, so this is, telling them a story. And this is where I would take the story. This is Sam. He's an Uber driver. He drives from morning till night. He's got a 5-star rating. He's really good at what he does. He takes pride. He always has bottles of water. And Sam takes home about 70% of what he's actually making, which makes it very hard for him to make a living. And like Sam, there are over 70 million drivers in the US that struggle because a chunk of it is being taken. Now, Sam as a taxi driver would have all these expenses. It's great that he can use his car, but there's got to be a better way. And that's what Fijo does, right?
right.
Yeah, so
Yep.
humanize the story too.
Yep. So so the driver does 100% of the work and only gets about 50 to 70% of the fare.
Yeah. And then talk about how you're going to do it. So you don't have to spend a lot of time on the human story, but the minute you can take someone, and you can even take someone you really know, and I know Sam, he's actually my neighbor, and he inspired this whole idea. Good. Excellent. Are you in market?
Yeah, the other thing too, Donna, is that we take our drivers take cash payments, which also helps the underserved communities, those that don't have any credit cards, for example, right?
How do you monetize though on that?
That's right. Yes.
How do you monetize?
Oh,
that?
how do you monetize? So we're gonna earn by doing a subscription on drivers.
Subscription?
We're gonna charge subscription fee
For the drivers themselves?
for the drivers. Yes.
So instead of the drivers giving away 30% to 50% of their earnings, they will subscribe to your service and it gives them the same power to then, okay.
That's right. Yeah. So the driver is empowered. Yeah, the driver is empowered to select who they pick as a rider, and the rider also is empowered to select the driver.
Okay. So there's a lot of added benefits in. Good.
Exactly.
Good. Are you already in market?
Yes, we have a pilot program in San Francisco.
Nice.
And we do have some repeat drivers and riders, frequent riders and frequent drivers.
Excellent. Do you have a specific question, or you just want to kind of?
Yes, actually, I do have a specific question because how do I recover from a bad presentation?
Did you ever go on dates?
Yes.
Okay, how did you recover from a really bad date? Seriously, I remember bad dates. I remember like that I would come home and just be like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. This is awful. But the problem is if you bring that with you to the next date, you're already coloring that date bad.
Yeah.
Start fresh, go to sleep. Don't think about it that night.
Okay.
Go back and see, okay, let me debrief on this. What objectively went wrong? What could I have done better? Where did I steer off course? Learn from it, and then put it behind you and come to the next meeting as if it was the first.
Okay.
Never know if the next person is the person that can change your life. And that was the sentence going through my head the night I met my husband, by the way. I met him when I was 34. I had been single for way too many years and gone on way too many bad dates, but I would meet someone new and I wasn't meeting him under a date at all. It was a business thing. You never know if the next person you meet can change your life. You always come over.
Perfect.
And you have such a great energy. You've got a great smile. You've got that, you want to bring that energy because they will love that.
Thank you, Donna. Just like playing golf, right? You forget the bad swing, just move on to the next one.
That swing, it's Teflon. You have to let it roll off you. Because sometimes, okay, they're having a bad day. They don't like what you're doing. They're invested in Uber. They're, a million and one things. They want to see how you respond to strife. Never let them see if they've broken you. Always have that smile, keep that energy, keep that positivity. Because if it's not going to be them, and it's sometimes I say I run a community of women founders online, and somebody was sharing last week that she had this horrible pitch with this guy who was so entitled, and he kept saying all these things that weren't true, and she's like, how do you deal with these things? And I said, first of all, you thank your lucky stars that he showed his true colors in the first meeting. This is not the kind of person you want invested in your company. It's a marriage. It basically is. You're going to be spending years with this person. You don't need that.
It's awesome. Thank you, Donna. Thank you for your time and thank you for your advice.
Thank you. We have a question up here from Gabriel. What do you think of the following? Up and Change makes employees more competent in stressful situations with digital tools being able to development of soft skills and the use of potential for sustainable systems. Okay, you lost me somewhere around there. Hi, Gabriel. Talk to me a little bit. You can unmute. Talk to me a bit about what inspired Up and Change.
It's the lack of collaboration skills in companies.
Tell me a story. What's the origin story? Like, where did you come up with it?
The original story was, losing a lot of nerves and time, struggling with other stress typologies, people who behave differently than you in stress, and not finding a way of working together.
Specific. Is there something specific that you encountered yourself as an employee, as someone seeing others? Like what made you?
The project never came to an end, sort of.
Tell me the story. You're starting in the middle.
I was spending lots of time, in useless discussions with other people without getting the ideas implemented. And it was sort of like people talking a lot, but not talking to each other. And there was
okay, again, I feel like you're talking above instead of getting to the core. Tell us the real story. What was the specific project, specific company? Give me the real story.
Okay, so in Coke, in meetings where you should have got the project done, and people were discussing endlessly, and we never got to an end, and we never got anything finished.
And what is that? And that created the stress, or they were stressing and not? What is that?
How it created stress because we had an objective we should have achieved, but we never achieved it because people weren't working together. And we had lots of ideas, but we never got the ideas to an end. We never implemented them.
Okay, and what is the root cause of that, of that not getting done?
It was that we needed different people on the table with different functions and different expertise, but the people, we weren't capable of talking to each other. And that was the time where I got so annoyed that I started working on myself, understanding how to, work together with people who were different than me in their working styles. And, I had such advantage in knowing how to behave, what to do and what not to do, that it was, I was more efficient and more effective in getting the results.
Okay, and now what does Up and Change do? It kind of creates a common communication.
Now, Up and Change has developed certain digital tools where if you, for example, have a conflict with another peer, you go through this digital tool and in a very, condensed time with different techniques and questions, you get from the problem to solutions. So you have ideas.
So you both have to go through it?
No.
So you can do it. Okay, love this, love this. It's completely not what you wrote. Here's your pitch, and this is being recorded, so you can look at it later.
Yeah.
So many years ago, the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus came out, proving that men and women have very different communication styles. I'm going to rewrite that book and say devs are from Mars and marketing are from Venus, because it seems like we are different species of people working in one organization. And I worked at Coca-Cola. It was Coke, you said, Coca-Cola for many years. And I spent meeting after meeting wanting to pull my hair out because all we did was talk and things didn't get done and deadlines approached and we were under the wire and we were under the pump for it. And the thing is, I started to look around and I realized there were just different people speaking in different ways, different generations, different types, and we needed all of them for the project, but it was like we were all talking a different language. And that happens across, and 87% of delays are attributed to the fact that a company and a team are not on sync. And it's just gotten worse in an era of hybrid and remote work. And that is why I created Up and Change. Up and Change is a practical tool to help people learn how to communicate with those that they don't speak the same language with. It's easy. You go through a simple series of questions and answers, identifying the other person's communication style, and get practical tips to how to speak to them in a way that they will listen. So far, we've cut times down by 30%, increased efficiency by 70%, all those good things, but there you go.
Wow, lovely. I'm going to hire you for that.
GPT.
Lovely. Yeah, no, that sounds great. And I'll listen to it on the recording again.
Great, because it is a big problem. And bring in those stats, bring in the costs, bring in, like, you want to put those numbers in, everyone.
Okay.
What
but on the slide, you put it very short.
you don't have to tell, you don't have to write this out. So I would start off and show like the cover of the book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, and now do a mock-up of devs are from Mars and marketers are from Venus. And that'll make people laugh because it's true. You put a developer and a marketer at the same table, it's like two different species.
Mm-hmm.
It don't speak the same language, and it causes a lot of frustration. Now, I know a lot of people that are Gen Xers trying to manage Gen Zs. It's a completely different language also. So this is extremely valuable for working in an organization, different ages, different generation, different skill sets, but everybody's valued, everybody's important, but we also need to cut to the chase. All right.
Super.
Good.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna.
My pleasure. Okay. So now health, Arto, for every person presenting, it is important to value yourself high. You have the best knowledge of your startup. Cherish that and you will shine. That's a very nice insight. Thank you. Sanjay said, revised buzzword like pitch. Runday is an always available AI concierge for business. that need to provide a human, skip the that need to provide, providing a human-like experience to customers over chat, including answering complex questions, booking appointments, and selling products. So bing, bing, bing. So is an always available human-like experience of a concierge. You know, very simple, cut to the chase, even you can cut a few more buzzwords in there, but much, much better. Much, much better.
That sounds great. Don, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We really appreciate it. We've got some incredible startups that are really, you know, some of them you can feel it in your heart and soul, actually, and the other ones are changing the world in a whole different kind of way.
Love
So
it.
we
Love it. You
appreciate
guys are doing amazing things. And I'm here. The book will be helpful, but if you do need to work with the authoress, I'm here. And anybody mention that you're from GSD and you get a special community discount. So just remind me that you were here and that you came through Gary.
Yeah, she's really good. She's I mean, the best, actually. So thank you very much. Thanks everybody for joining one more time of GSD Network. And as you know, I'm Gary Fowler. If you need something, give me a call. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll talk to you each soon. Thanks, Donna, and thanks everybody. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.